Thank you for being here. I think we are going to talk a little bit this morning about GPOT in Budget 2025. GPOT, which is an acronym that stands for Grants in Place of Taxes, is the government's program to pay to, and of course under the Constitution of Canada, provinces don't pay taxes to municipalities. Municipalities can't charge them and provinces don't pay them. But it's been a custom for provinces to pay something in lieu of the provincial taxes. And there was a time when Alberta paid at 100% of what the provincial municipal taxes would be. That went to 50%. 5 years ago. I'm sure somebody has a record of exactly when that was. The point is, municipalities weren't happy. They let us know they weren't happy. And in this year's budget, that percentage of what would be municipal taxes that we're paying will go from 50 to 75%, and next year it will go to 100%. I think I just heard in a room full of municipal leaders that they're happy about that. Well, not as happy as they'd be if it was never reduced in the first place, but happy that it's coming back to where they would like it to be. So, yeah, that's at the core of what we're talking about, I think, here today.
Thank you very much, Minister. Tyler Gandam, Tylergandam, President for Alberta Municipalities and Mayor for the City of Wetaskiwin. So as Minister just said, that they're reinstating the GPOT up to 75% this year and then 100% next year. It's something that municipalities have been advocating for on behalf of their residents to reinstate that. I know the City of Edmonton had a fairly large campaign as well. So it's nice to see that when we advocate and we get the opportunity to work with the provincial government, that the grants in place of taxes will then be returned to its 100% next year. And again, we look forward to that relationship with the province and making sure that when they have changes to legislation or how the funding is for municipalities, that we get that opportunity to consult, share with them the impact that it's going to be, and then we won't spend 5 years working on trying to reinstate that funding. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. It's Jeff Janung, Mayor of Cochrane and Chair of Alberta Mid-Sized City Mayors Caucus. I just want to echo what my two colleagues have said this morning. Alberta's mid-sized cities are some of the fastest growing communities in all of Alberta. And with that population influx, growth is a good problem. But along with that comes the need for increased spending on infrastructure and all the things that communities deal with. The reinstatement to the 75% of GPOT is a step in the right direction, and I just want to acknowledge the Alberta municipalities for doing this advocacy work, and us at Mid-Sized Cities Mayors Caucus have just kind of drafted behind ABMUNIS in this advocacy effort, and it is awesome to see the province listen to our communities and reinstate this funding. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So we're just gonna, since there's a lot of you, we're just gonna do one question and I'll circle back if you got time. So, a question for Minister McIver.
Sure.
That GPOT is going up, which I think people in this room will be happy about, but education property tax is also going up.
Yeah.
We heard a question about that. Did your government consult with municipalities before doing that, or is that your prerogative to set it where you want?
Well, it's our tax. If we should either get the credit or the blame for it. So and it's a reflection that the cost of education is going up. The education property tax is in this year's budget is, if I have my numbers right, and I think I'm pretty close, is 31.6% of the cost of education for K to 12. So it's not even, it's less than a third of the whole bill. I think most Albertans would agree we need to have a well-funded, good education system. We need more schools. We need teachers, and we got to pay all those people. And most Albertans would agree that once in a while they need a raise too.
Years though, you accept this.
Yes.
Tell people, just tell.
Yeah, I think one of the things that municipalities have been talking about for a number of years is that this is the province's tax. The province should be collecting that. And seeing that we are going to have an increase to the school tax requisition and it coming through property taxes, I think we could find better ways to increase taxes and support the education piece of that. Minister's right. Things do cost more money. staff, teachers, assistants, they all deserve to have raises as well. But I think that there's a more transparent way to bring more money into the program rather than through property taxes with municipalities.
Yeah, thank you. I would add, thank you, Mayor Gandam. Residents in our communities obviously have asked for increased funding for more teachers, more schools, and the province is reacting to that. I think we just had a question on the floor to the minister about this. I believe the province could help us in the messaging to our residents. And I hear Minister McIver is eager to help us with that. I think in addition to the efforts that he is going to undertake, that perhaps the province could help by telling Albertans themselves, not just asking municipalities to share that message. Yeah.
Go get.
Okay, yeah. Tariffs. Just about an hour ago. The headlines over in a 1 month delay, pause on left here. Comment on his answer to tease out.
You know what? I think local leaders are on the same page as our provincial government is. We don't know what's coming next. I think we all know. I think President of the United States ought to know tariffs are a bad idea. It's going to cost the American people more money. Every time that there's a tariff on Canadian goods going to the U.S., some American consumer or American business is going to pay more. And if it's the business, sooner or later they got to sell their product, so that consumer is going to pay more. It's a lose-lose situation. I wish I knew what the end game was with the president, but he's certainly the elected president. And I got to say, I think our premier's done a stellar job of making Alberta's position known, trying to find allies in the United States amongst policymakers and elected people that are in positions of authority. And I think she's been a leader in Canada. And yet we don't know for sure how it's going to turn out, whether it's going to be worse than we all thought or better than we all thought. I sure don't. I'd sure like to know who does. But we're going to continue, working on behalf of Albertans and all Canadians, and because what's good for other provinces is good for Alberta, and we think what's good for Alberta is good for other provinces. So we're going to keep working hard and fighting for Albertans in these uncertain times. And I wish I could give you some kind of a certain idea of what's going to happen next, but I haven't any idea.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, this is a time of chaos. And the reaction to chaos is not more chaos. I think this is time for us to take a breath and really have a strategic, intentional approach to what we're doing. As municipalities, we really have a small impact. I mean, we look to our partners with the province and the federal government. But really, what I'm hearing from our residents and myself, I mean, I wake up every morning and read the news, and we have this feeling of helplessness. What Canadians, what Albertans, what Cochranites, and everyone across our country, I think, needs to do is be together. We need to drop parties. We need to drop divisiveness. This is a time that Canadians, Albertans can rise up together. I'm starting to see that. I'm encouraged by the unification of our country and our province. This is a time to shop local, shop Albertan and shop Canadian. And I look forward to our municipal governments working in partnership with the province and with the federal government.
Sorry. I would echo Mayor Janung. One of the things that Alberta Municipalities is asking of the provincial government is that we get some opportunity to spend some time with the ministers and possibly the premier on what that looks like. How are we going to help Albertans? How are we going to help Canadians? We've been asked for a unified community peace officer approach to battle fentanyl and work with the province, and the municipalities stepped up. What we need now is the opportunity to work with the provincial government, understand what it is that municipalities can do to help that effort, and work together. And like Mayor Janung said, we're Canadians. It's not party driven. It's not us versus them. It's us sticking together and making sure that we get through this as best as we can.
Regardless for Minister McIver, regardless of whether these tariffs go through or not, they're already having economic impact, and those are causing price increases, which are hitting homeowners and business owners probably the hardest of anybody. So does it really make economic sense at this point to increase property tax? That's going to put more burden on businesses.
Well, property taxes on the municipal side pay for the municipal needs, which and then the municipalities have work to do too, and staff to pay, and if they think they need to put in a property tax, I that's their decision to make, and I hope they're responsible about the way they do it. On our end with the education property tax, we have increased costs, so we got a lot of new kids here. We've committed in the last few months to $8.5 billion worth of school construction. That money's got to come from somewhere. You can't reasonably expect teachers and other staff in schools to show up without getting paid, and as we hire more teachers and staff for the schools we're building, those costs will go up. So yeah, I think it's completely responsible to reflect that in the property tax levy. And again, that only reflects less than 1/3, and Albertans know that they pay for 100% of the K-12 education, 31.5% of it on property tax, and the rest in other provincial levies and taxes that they pay. So yeah, I think what would be less responsible is to say to the schools and the school boards that we're going to lay this all on your shoulders. I think we're all in this together, and it's not going to be easy on anybody. I think all governments, provincial, federal, and provincial, need to make responsible spending and not spending decisions, and it's incumbent upon all of us to do that. So yeah, I you know what I'm not going to do is apologizing for funding education.
James.
Thanks for taking my question. Rural municipalities in southern Alberta are already getting sacrificed there, and so a lot of grain shipment. They're just not going. They're just not.
Oh, I wish the concerns would end after 4 weeks. My concern might be just that, is how long this is going to go on for. It's destructive. It's negative. It's not helpful. It takes away people's incomes, which at some point will probably take away people's jobs. Every family that loses their job may lose their home. I think that's terrible. And none of it is needed. None of it's called for. So again, our premier, I think, is doing a great leadership job within Canada. And I got to say, as the mayor said, this is an issue to work together on across party lines. I would hope that, the opposition in Alberta would support our government's efforts. Listen, everybody knows we've had a rocky relationship with the Prime Minister of this country, but we've been working with that Prime Minister and his government on this because we are in this together. And it's one of those issues that we got to be Canadian and while we're being Albertan and try to make things better.
I want to give you a chance. You're absolutely concerned for it by the caucus calling Scott Fair was saying, how come you have all this corporate welfare money for a billionaire Edmonton, but rural municipalities are left out? They're asking for basic infrastructure.
Well, fortunately, it's not either or, it's both. We're supporting Edmonton with the infrastructure that they have deemed that they need in their municipality to make it better. Certainly, the one part of Edmonton's downtown where some of this proposed development is going forward is an area that's been riddled with tent cities and crime and a little bit of mayhem, and having something positive there is good. And we're also spending a lot of money in rural Alberta. In the MLA's riding, I think if you take a look, you're going to find that there's school projects coming, road projects coming. I've been doing this a long time. Nobody gets everything they want every year. Part of democracy is that the majority rules. When the majority rules, the flip side of that is the ones not in the majority don't rule. And if you're an elected person like I am, and you go into caucus and cabinet, you don't always get your way. But I've always found that taking my bat and ball and going home is not helpful. I think it's a team sport. Politics is, and sometimes we end up disappointed. hopefully the MLAs that complain will have time to reflect on what they've said. I respect them. I respect them as people. I respect that they're entitled to their own opinion. But I'll also say the evidence would show that our government, our budget, has spent a lot of money in rural and urban Alberta. And hopefully over time, people will come to understand and see all of that.
Last question. Gotta go.
I'm just happy that the feds have a ministerial lead up there, and I've had lots of conversations with Minister Dogood. I'm very positive relationship with Minister Dogood in the short time that he's been on this file, and funny thing happens when you put somebody in charge. Good things happen. So for a long time, frankly, we complained about the federal government being missing in action in Jasper. But I got to say, since Mr. Dogood's been given the responsibility of trying to support Jasper, he's shown up for work. He's getting things done for Jasper as well as our provinces, and that's the way we would like to work with the federal government with Jasper, is work together, do positive things for Jasper, and get one of the crown jewels of Alberta's tourism sector, which is also one of the crown jewels in Canada's tourism sector, called Jasper, back on its feet, going full bore, maybe better than ever. And we're thrilled to have somebody from the federal government that's doing their part.